T-minus Friday. That is the name of this podcast episode. What does that mean, might you ask? We are sharing with you some of the blog posts that we wrote over 10 years ago when we were getting ready to live on a sailboat, when we didn't know how things were going to work out. And I wrote a blog post on February 1st, 2014 called T-minus Friday. It was the Friday before we left to live on a sailboat. Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We are your hosts, Erik, Orton.
And I'm Emily Orton.
And here we talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, we moved aboard a fixer-upper sailboat and bootstrapped a year sailing with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our memoir, our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time.
All right, dear listeners, settle in for story time. I'm literally just going to read to you a blog post that I wrote 10 years ago. And we'll include a link in the show note because there's some fun stuff you might want to see. It's pictures and videos. But this is called T-minus Friday. Before I dive in, Emily, is there anything you want to say about this?
I'll probably comment along the way.
Of course you will. Yeah. It's like talking during a movie. I love it.
It's my favorite pastime.
Okay. T-minus Friday. Friday was my last day in New York City. Next, sleep. Get up, throw my stuff in the van, and drive out of here. Just like that. I turned in my access cards at work. I packed my favorite mug, gave some really great people hugs. I'd brought donuts. They'd brought cake. Walked out the door. That was it. Done. It's funny, all the things we think we can't change or don't want to change. But the truth is, for the vast majority of life, we do what we want. Of course, we don't always have control over the big parameters, where we're born, who our parents are, what kind of body we're born into. But beyond that, things really start to kick in. An old friend taught me a lesson. I was making a lame excuse why we hadn't seen each other in a while, and he called me up short. He said, "We do what we want in life." I said, "Not always." He said, "You cut your hand off, you go to the hospital, no matter what else you've got going on." He was right. We do what's most important to us, and we decide what matters. We do what's most important to us, and we decide what's most important. I wanted to correct my emphasis there. So, okay. To paraphrase our man Stephen Covey, put first things first. Most urgent things will seldom be important, and most important things will never be urgent. It's never urgent. No, that's the end of the quote from Stephen Covey. Now, this is me saying, it's never urgent to write a novel, to learn to play an instrument, to go on a walk with your wife, to wrestle with your kids, but they're the most important, I think. All right, enough philosophizing. Back to earth. Today, I scheduled a bunch of automatic bill pays for the next 6 months. Don't want to miss any payments while we're at sea. I picked up my new contact lenses. You know, they just go better with sunglasses. And I picked up a fishing spear, thanks to some of my friends. I'll leave their names out for now. Pretty cool. But even cooler, the thing that made me happiest this week was not urgent. I took Wednesday morning and got in my minivan. Without really planning it, I drove the whole length of Manhattan twice, down and back. Here's a quick snippet. And then I have a time-lapse video of me driving from our neighborhood in northern Manhattan to the very southern end, or at least to Midtown. Today, last line. Today, I drive off this island. Next island, St. Martin. T-minus Friday. And that's the end of the blog post.
I like how you just give the little details of what it actually looks like to separate from the life that you knew. A lot of people say like, "Oh, I can't quit my job." It's like, it's pretty easy. You can write an email and your job will be quit.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, I can't quit my job." I'm like, "Oh, it's really easy to quit a job. Let me show you how." You write an email and the subject is called 2 weeks notice. And then you fill in a little bit of information.
Or you could schedule an appointment on your calendar to talk to the person, depending on however your company does things. And obviously that's in jest, because we know you're talking about so much more than the actual steps required to quit your job.
Making the decision to quit can be challenging, but the actual mechanics of quitting are very, very simple.
Yeah, very simple. And so I love how you say, yeah, I brought donuts, they brought cake, I gave some hugs, and then I walked away from that old life that I'd been doing for years. And now here's a video of me driving into my new life. And we
Vroom,
don't
vroom.
know for sure what it holds yet. We have hopes and aspirations. And of course, from the get-go, it doesn't turn out the way we anticipated. But yeah, I think it's nice to just say, oh yeah, it's very simple. These are the little exchanges that happen as we change directions.
Yeah, because oftentimes we make it more than it is. What we're really scared about is, oh my goodness, a certain number of points or little numbers are not going to hit my bank account in 2 weeks or a month or whatever. And how are we going to make life work? But okay, actually, I'm going to bring that full circle. There's a woman that I worked with at the job that I left. We worked together in New York City. I quit this job 10 years ago. Random event. We have a street fair here in Salt Lake City, and I'm out there playing the guitar. They had an opportunity for people to go busking. And if you don't know what busking is, that's when anyone plays music on the street, puts their case out, and you get to throw bills or coins in. Anyway, I'm standing there playing music on the street in Salt Lake City, and this woman walks past, and I finish my song, and she says, "Erik, Orton?" I haven't seen this lady in 12 years. And anyway, so you know, yes, you walk away.
And where was she from? 12 years. She was from where you worked? Oh, did you already say that?
Yeah. We worked together in New York City, and
listening skills.
And now she lives here in Salt Lake City. So, but the point is, you know, yeah, you walk away, but there's all kinds of things that come full circle in life, I guess. And so, and one of them was when we came back from sailing, guess where I went back to work?
Same place.
Same job, same desk, same everything. And that's a whole other adventure that
we have a whole other book about that called Knock. I can put it in the show notes below if you want to know what happened when we came back.
Yeah. And anyway, so just to say that the mechanics of leaving the life you know right now are very, very simple.
Sometimes it's nice to remember that. Like, oh, it's the emotional part. It's the decision making that is really burdensome, but it's not that hard. The mechanics of it.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I wanted to share, Emily, from this podcast. Is there anything else you want to make sure?
Yeah, no, I wanted you to read the next post. One? Yeah. This one's even shorter.
It's action-packed, action-rich. And we'll include the links to these if you want to actually go to our old blog that used to be at it is at fezziwig.com. So this next one is called D-Day, as in D for departure. February 8th, 2014. Well,
so this is 1 week later.
Well, so yeah, my last Friday in New York was last Friday. Or T-minus Friday. Well, despite having our flight canceled and waiting 3 extra days to depart, it's been, of course, a mad dash to get ourselves ready. We watched the Olympic opening ceremonies. We ran errands. Lily dropped my iPhone in the toilet, and we watched Captain Phillips, All Is Lost, and any other movie we could think of to scare ourselves out of this. Thank goodness for Grandma's videos on demand. But to no avail. We're still going. If you don't know, Captain Phillips and All Is Lost are about like
horrible
modern day piracies, a boat sinking with the most depressing ending you've ever seen.
And I was like, why are we watching these movies? This is the worst idea ever. I was excited that the delay meant we could see the Olympics, but man, those movies are a total bummer.
Yeah. So if you're looking to get bummed out about sailing, I highly recommend Captain Phillips and All Is Lost. All right. So back to the blog post. So to no avail, we're still going. We should be sleeping. We're getting up in 3 hours to get our flight. But as usual, Emily and I are sitting in bed, tapping and clacking away. This is
like
typing a blog post. Some good news. We've arranged to have someone named George pick us up from the airport when we get to St. Martin. I mean, I've warned them that we're going to be a bit of a circus. We've learned there's a small grocery store just down the road from the marina, and we know when/where church starts on Sunday morning. Maybe we'll make some friends. All in all, we're feeling about as ready as a pack of Ortons can be. Then there's a whole bunch of pictures. As part of the lead up to the Olympics and to kill some time, we held races of our own. Plus, Eli learned to ride a bike this week, and Lily made solid progress on the tricycle. So we thought some festivities were in order. We have a video of our own little improvised Olympics while we're waiting to catch our delayed flight. That's the whole post. That's everything. But that's our last day.
I love the Olympics, and I like that we called it Olympics because our last name starts with O. And there was like an abandoned tennis court a couple blocks away from where we were staying at Eric's parents' house.
In the ghetto where my parents live.
It's a really nice neighborhood, but
the tennis court has been let go.
Yeah, nobody's.
I'm just kidding.
It's just, weeds are coming up through the cracks. Anyway, we decided we would use that as the staging area for our Olympics. And one of the things that I remember so well is Eli and Lily did a race. Or Eli was doing a race with the older girls, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, they're doing this race, and we just said, hey, you're going to do this race, and, whoever crosses this line first is the winner. And being pretty young and never participating in sports or things like, Eli was barely 8. He heard the parameters and was like, okay. And once he saw that his sisters were beating him, he just cut straight across
the oval that it was like
the oval that was meant to be the track and went straight to the finish line. And I loved that he did that, and all the girls were like, what? That's cheating, that's no fair. Like, he didn't know the tradition, he didn't know the expectation, but we had never said that was the rule. And he was like, how am I going to meet this objective?
How am I going to win?
Yeah.
And
in his mind, he wasn't breaking any rules, he was just solving a problem because the rules were not spoken. And I just thought that was awesome to say, where am I trying to get, and what's the quickest way to get there? And he just went for it.
And maybe there's some made up rules that I don't know about, or maybe I'm making up some rules that actually aren't there that I'm trying to abide by, and I can just take a shortcut.
Yeah. So we hope for you that there's a shortcut to your dreams. And like we were saying, if you need to get out of something, it's not that hard.
I want to say one more thing about this podcast, or this blog post. It's significant because it was written on February 8th, 2014. And for any of you that have coached with us or done some like a retreat or anything like that with us, we talk about the blue sky questions. And the blue sky questions are a set of questions that are designed to help us think outside of a lot of these constraints and parameters that we just sort of assume are there and immovable. And so we try to remove these constraints to think big. The idea is that the sky is the limit. Everything's open. And we answer these blue sky questions. And I did this with a life coach friend of mine, and many years before.
I think she was a business coach.
She wanted to be a coach, and she was just sussing out her practice. And I was one of her first guinea pig clients. But however it went after that, I had a chance to go through this process with her, which we now included in our process when we coach people. And one of the questions is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And you've heard us, if you've been listening for a while, you've heard us ask and answer this question. And there's a series of others. And I wrote down all my answers. And finally, when we were writing our book, 7 at Sea, I went back and I looked up when I actually answered those questions for the first time. And here is the crazy thing. I answered those questions for the first time on February 8th, 2000.
Was it like
2008? I think it was 2008.
4 or 8. Okay.
It was 2008.
Yeah. That makes
2008.
more sense. Way more sense.
And so then when I went back and I looked at this, we were writing the book, and I was like, oh, I wrote it on February 8th because I was building a timeline to help refresh my memory as we wrote the book. And so I wrote February 8th, 2008. I answered the blue sky questions. And then to go back and find this blog post, February 8th, 2014 is the day we moved aboard our boat. And when I answered those questions in 2008, one of the things that I wrote down was sail for a family as a year. Sail for a year as a family, sorry. And to have it be 6 years to the day from writing the idea to actually stepping aboard the boat and having documented that those bookends still blows my mind. Still.
And I love it because we actually had planned to move aboard sooner, but they weren't ready or different things. Like, we moved out of our house, I think like January 4th.
Yeah,
And
we got there a month later than we expected. Emily, you were living in my parents' place
yeah,
all through,
waiting.
and I kept working because I was like, well, if our boat's not ready, I'll just keep earning money.
Mm-hmm.
And so
It
on
felt like kismet or destiny or, some cosmic um, love note to say, I see you.
a cosmic love note. I love God being like, hey man, I'll play your game.
Yeah, I'm in this. Same day.
And so here's my invitation to you, dear listener, is whatever crazy idea you've got, just write it down. Write it down and maybe go back and read it every now and then. Keep it in a place where you'll come across it and revisit it, whether it's once a year or twice a year or once a month. But it still amazes me the power of just writing something down, because it brings it outside of your brain and it literally brings it into the world in a tangible format. There's a couple ways you can do that. You can write it down, you can say it out loud.
Yeah, tell somebody.
I guess those are really the only two that I can think of. Write it down or say it out loud, especially, and you get bonus points if you tell another person that's going to hear it, because you can just say it out loud by yourself, in your car.
Writing it is the most powerful way.
Writing it is the most powerful. And if you dare mention it to somebody, tell it to somebody who's going to be like, oh man, I'm so excited for you. Tell it to somebody who's going to tell you that is going to say that's the best idea you've ever had, and encourage you, because um, crazy dreams, they need love. They need love, just like grandkids. That's a harken to the last episode, or two episodes ago. Anyway, so those are two Throwback Thursday podcast episodes, T-minus Friday and D-Day, from before we moved on the boat and we didn't know how it was going to work out, because I'm guessing if you're going to do something like this, you don't know how it's going to work out either. So we just want to share with you our adventure when there were still so many unknowns. And we're so grateful for all the things that have gone right in our lives. There's still things that we wonder about, but this is back when we didn't know what could go right with this trip, and so many things have, and so we're grateful for it. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I would just say, if you don't want to take our word for it, you can also listen to episode 69, where we talked to Rob and Tracy Jackson, who have been living nomadically for 7 years with their 3 kids, and they will tell you their stories of how they didn't know what was going to happen and how they figured it out and why it was worth it.
Totally awesome episode. Love talking with them.
Yeah, keep asking what could go right.
What could go right, my friends? Hey guys, it's Erik. Now that we have rounded the corner into fall, I do want to tell you about some exciting new trips coming up. The long-awaited announcements for our summer Mediterranean trips. I'm going to share those with you. So let me start at the top. At the moment of this recording, I'll start with the top of the year. January 27th through February 1st. Currently have one spot. It's a female spot in a shared cabin, bunk bed cabin, for the Virgin Islands, January 27th through February 1st. The next trip that we have is March 10th through the 15th, 2025, also to the Virgin Islands. Then we're going to be in the Bahamas, March 31st through April 5th. After that, we're going to jump ahead to the summertime, and we're going to be in Italy, June 7th through the 14th. We'll be in Greece, July 19th through the 26th, and we'll be in Croatia, August 2nd through the 9th. So I'm just going to repeat those real quick. January 27th through the 1st, I got one spot for a lady on our Virgin Islands trip. Then we're going to be back in the Virgin Islands in March 10th through the 15th. Again, then we'll be in the Bahamas, March 31st through April 5th. Then we're going to be in Italy in June 7th through the 14th. Greece, July 19th through the 26th, and Croatia, August 2 through 9. And as we, those are a little ways off, but not too far. Currently, they are at early bird pricing. The prices will go up as we get closer, but if you want to snag a spot early and get a better price, drop me a line, shoot me an email, hello@theawesomefactory.nyc, DM me on social, and we're going to do early bird pricing through Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, the prices will start to go up. So anyway, that's the lineup. We're super excited to visit one of our favorite spots, the Virgin Islands and the Bahamas, and then also get over to Italy, Greece, and Croatia. Hope to have you aboard. I'm also going to share with you some takeaways from people that have been sailing with us. Here's another one.
Okay, so something that surprised me, we've spent a lot of time on boats, like they've said, and there's nothing I love more than the ocean. I mean, that's my happy place. My, you know, I just love it, and I love being in it and doing anything I can around it. So, but we'd never really been on a sailboat. So, the biggest surprise for me is that the sails weren't just going back and forth, and you know how you see, and so the moon's coming, and you know you're having to duck, and I thought we'd be doing that. So this was a little bit more of a Cadillac version. So I wasn't expecting it to be this easy. I honestly thought, you know what, we could maybe do this. It wouldn't be as hard as I thought it was going to be. You know, so well, of course, I don't know.
Looks easier than
It looks easier than it is.
That's just sad.
I mean,
I make it look easy.
You make it
Yes.
look easy.
There we
That's
go.
true. But at least I think it would be, you know, you can kind of do it. So that was a surprise for me. Probably my two words would be serenity and sensual. Just in the lightning storm that the Lord put on for us for entertainment. And my goal was not to look at my phone or to do anything on my phone for the whole week. I made it till yesterday. It's been so fun to be with everyone on this boat because it, like Dave said, it's just great friendship, and to, you know, you always wonder who the new people are and what they're going to be like, and but it was awesome. You know, now I feel like we have more friends.